So one of the things that I really encourage people to do is train themselves to, quote, say what you mean. Do you know where I got this phrase from? Say what you mean. It's from literature, actually, sort of classic in English literature. It's by a book. It's the author of the book is named Charles Dodgson. Doesn't ring a bell? Well, that was his real name. His nom de plume was, Lewis Carroll. Very good. So Lewis Carroll is known as the writer of children's books, and Charles Dodgson is known as the Victorian period mathematician. There's even a theorem named after him. Not a theorem, but a mathematical process. And in fact, I'm gonna get on a geek out. Okay, so I gotta rein myself in. This is the problem, okay? I just sort of, whatever comes up, pours out. So the Mad Hatter's Tea Party, it contains a pun that almost no one realizes. A mathematical pun. T was also a letter that was used as a variable, okay, in his day by people who were insisting on the use of imaginary numbers and complex variables and things like that. And Dodgson was actually a very old-fashioned kind of mathematician. He was more in the old-fashioned Euclidean mathematics. And he actually didn't like the new math of the Victorian period, which probably seems like very old math, but it's actually, he was like wrong. Complex variables turned out to be this hugely, hugely useful thing, which I'll give a whole Dharma talk on one of these days. But in any event, so the tea is a mathematical pun, the tea party. Anyway, at the Mad Hatter's Tea Party, there's a dialogue with Alice and the Marsh Hare and the Dormouse and the Mad Hatter, in which each of those people tell Alice in no uncertain terms to mean what you say is completely different from saying what you mean. Because the Mad Hatter said something like, you need to say what you mean. And Alice says, well, I always mean what I say. And then they get on this big riff about, hey, these aren't the same at all. To say what you mean means that you had an idea, and when it comes out in words, it's accurate. And it turns out that that's not such an easy thing to do. It takes a lot of training, a lot of care. We're not stupid. We know what we're saying, and in our mind, it's evidence-based and logical. But if you really listen to yourself saying it, okay, sometimes you're not really saying what you mean. What's in your mind is not what the words actually are. So I've spent a long, long time trying to train myself to be careful about that, and I'm a little bit, how shall I say, finicky, prissy, fussy about you folks learning how to do the same thing, because I think it's extremely useful. But it's also really hard, and the reason that I know it's hard is even though I work at it and I'm pretty good at it, I'm amazed how many times I myself end up not really quite accurately saying what I mean. which is, it happens, it's okay. Every once in a while, in retrospect, I look back and I realize, to my horror, that I said the opposite of what I meant. And that's like bad, which I did last night. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. Maybe you can guess. What I was trying to convey is that this path is available to the entire spectrum of culture and philosophy and politics, and that conservative people, which I refer to as, quote, Republicans and so forth, should be as comfortable within this setting as any other people. And I glory at the notion that that is the case, can be the case. But it came out sounding like I was sort of making fun of conservative and Republican people. That is actually the way it came out, which was exactly the opposite of what I had in my head. So, bad, bad, bad. Which someone pointed out to me, and I said, okay, when you're right, you're right. So anyway, that's I think a really important point. The types of people that in our culture would be called conservatives were the types of people that, in the context of Asia, were my teachers. And they saved my soul. So anyway, just wanted to mention that.